So good.
In my opinion, parents should not let their kids watch Pokemon, play Pokemon, buy Pokemon cards, have anything whatsoever to do with Pokemon, because the message is violence.
Hello everybody, my name is So Good, and it is damn good to see you all again. This video is the second part continuation of the So Good series covering Pokemon. So if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you check it out by clicking the link in the description. Alright, so in the last video we established the basic aspects of what makes Pokemon such a good series. They have an enjoyable set of basic gameplay mechanics that they continuously manage to innovate without getting rid of any of the great stuff. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the other two things that Pokemon's main series games nail. And rather than waste any more of your time,
let's just jump into it.
So look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Pokemon has the best story ever created. The games were made for kids, and thus a lot of them have some pretty goofy or straight up nonsensical plot holes. Like why on God's green earth is a kindergartner at the battle tree standing next to me, the Pokemon champion of the region and battle legends like Cynthia, Red, and Blue? And why don't evil teams ever try to gang up on you instead of trying to battle you one at a time? However, if one is able to look past the occasional plot bump, some truly spectacular moments can be experienced. Things that give the player a sense of accomplishment and success, which, if you ask Mewmore, is one of the most fundamentally important parts of making a game.
やっぱりね、達成感だと思うんですね。で、達成感にはいろんなことがあると思うんですけど、一つはクリアするっていうボスを倒すとかゴールに行くという達成感もあるんですけども。
And when I'm talking about fantastic moments, I'm not talking about James having tits or Pikachu having this voice.
I always want to be with you.
Or him apparently being Deadpool now.
I can. Shoving, pushing. My problem is that I push people away and then hate them for leaving.
He's saying you can shove it.
Nope. I'm talking about moments like getting to the top of the Indigo Plateau and beating the entire Elite Four, only to realize that your bitter rival since day one had beat you to the top and was in fact champion before you. Or when you became the undisputed champion of both Johto and Kanto's Pokemon Leagues. Then, you followed some rumors that took you to the top of the legendary Mount Silver to face off against none other than Red, the character you yourself played in the last game. And to make matters even more cinematic, he hits you with the ... like you're the goddamn NPC.
Don't ... me!
Then, Gen 3 had you racing across the literal apocalypse to stop the two primal forces of nature from destroying everything in their pursuit to the end of their bitter rivalry. Side note, I know what Maxie was thinking, more land is probably a good thing for people, but what the hell was Archie thinking? Gen 4 had you capturing literal gods. Nuff said. Oh, but you also head to the Lovecraftian Distortion World, where Giratina resides. Gen 5 had you foiling a massive conspiracy that basically involved the Pokeluminati. These crazy motherfuckers had superpowers, legendaries, and they even froze an entire city full of people and Pokemon. What's more is that the post-game lets you battle every single trainer of note throughout every single other Pokemon game in the Pokemon World Championships arena. Very cool. Gen 6 told the story of the first and most influential Pokemon War, and featured some pretty cinematic moments with Mega Pokemon. And finally, Gen 7 has you hopping between dimensions to faraway worlds filled with strange new monsters, some of which have already completely destroyed their own home worlds in their own gluttonous rage. Each and every single one of these moments exists to expand the Pokemon world, and give a true sense of catharsis to the players who have spent hours playing these games. What's more is that each game leaves the player with a feeling that they have truly accomplished something on their journey, and had a spectacular experience along the way. But what exactly is it that makes these moments so awesome? I mean, sure, anything can sound awesome on paper, but it's totally different to think something sounds cool on paper than it is to play something and feel badass. In order to get players invested in Pokemon, Game Freak has managed to weave an incredible amount of what I would like to call the risk-to-reward ratio into their games. Shigeru Miyamoto, you know, the guy behind all of this, has always said that in order for a game to be great, there has to be risk. And in order to make that risk a risk that someone might want to take, there has to be a suitable reward for taking said risk. Now, though it might not seem like it, Pokemon is actually a game that is all about risks and rewards. Don't believe me? Here are a couple of scenarios for you. You just hiked through a dark-ass mountain, and every hiker and their mother wanted a piece of you along the way. Your Pokemon have soundly had their assholes kicked, and you've just wasted all of the potions you found along the way. Then, just ahead, you see the glorious light illuminating the exit, but there's just one thing. Another hiker is standing right by the exit, and he's blocking it with his line of sight. He could just be a non-battling NPC, after all, there are plenty of those. Maybe he just wants to tell you that his shorts are crusty and uncomfortable to wear. Should you try walking past him and risk the battle? Should you waste an escape rod to try to get to the Pokemon Center and walk all the way back here? But that could take 10 minutes. Should you have bought more potions, repels, and trained more than just your starter Pokemon? Well, yes, but we're way past that at this point. Let's say you take the risk and walk out of the cave. If he doesn't bother you, congrats, you just took a risk and your blood pressure rose for nothing. But let's say he does battle you, and you promptly get pummeled by his Onix and 4 Geodude. Well, you just got forced all the way back to the Pokemon Center anyway, only now you don't have any money because some neck-bearded incel jacked all your cash. Or maybe we're talking about a different kind of risk. Maybe you're debating on whether you should use your last few Pokeballs to catch an Absol. Just look at him! He's so cool! Only to find a shiny roaming Latios on the way back to town with no balls left to catch it. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? These are just 2 examples that took me literally seconds to come up with. And we haven't even begun to discuss the risk-to-reward ratio that plays into each and every battle, where high-power moves have a higher chance to miss, certain moves have higher critical hit chances, and one correct prediction can permanently change the course of the battle. This heightened level of risk-to-reward adds stakes to nearly every decision that the player can make. This is what makes players scream and shout in joy when they finally manage to catch Lugia, beat Lance's Dragonite, Cynthia's Garchomp, or catch Ultra Necrozma. And they likewise give the player a heavy-duty dose of reality when they take the risk of trying to use a Focus Blast, miss, and then get criticaled by Ghetsis' Hydreigon, whiting their asses out and sending them running back to the nearest Pokemon Center to lick their wounds. This risk-to-reward concept works very well with the base mechanics of the game, and the incorporation of luck into the game via criticals, accuracy, and move side effects works wonderfully to add a bit of risk into almost every single situation. The risk-to-reward ratio works in tandem with the story, because it basically adds stakes to the things that you can do. All that being said, there's still one aspect of Pokemon that completely trounces most other games by a mile, and makes players feel completely immersed into whatever game they're playing, despite the pixels or modest graphics. And that would be it can be said with every fiber of my being that Pokemon games have the best video game music out there. These games are stuffed with some of the most simple, catchy, and nostalgia-inducing music in all of video games. And the composer's dedication to making sure that each and every forest, desert, city, rival, Pokemon League, and even menus have their own respective themes is astounding. There was even a theme for an error screen. That is error screen dedication, yo. This amount of unique music is consistently keeping the player subconsciously tuned into their game. Even if they just ran back to town to get more Pokeballs or potions, that player would more than likely find themselves starting to hum the tune of whatever town they just went into, or humming it when they're in class, or humming it when they first wake up in the morning. I mean, just listen to some of these classic jingles. From the upbeat and relaxing songs like the Pokemon National Park, to the determined and serious Victory Road themes. And who could forget everybody's childhood favorite, Lavender Town? Now, these are songs from 3 different Pokemon generations, but yet they all sound somewhat familiar. And that's because, like most of Pokemon's aesthetics, their music has style. What I mean by this isn't that Pokemon's design or music is perfect and that everyone should love it, but more that it's very unique and distinct. If you hear a Pokemon jingle or see a new Pokemon's design, you will more than likely be able to tell that it's a Pokemon. The same way that most pop culture fans can tell when something looks like it belongs in Dragon Ball Z, what with its sharp angles and detailed physiques, or when something sounds like it belongs in Star Wars with its big band dramatics. The best entertainment franchises and stories are distinct, with stylistic designs that scream, "I am me, and no one else is like me." And Pokemon is filled with this kind of style in each and every single one of its pixelated generations, and now moving on to the 3D ones. Everything from the graphics, to the sprites, to the artwork, to the music, and even city designs screams Pokemon. So to sum everything in the last 2 videos into one clean-cut paragraph, I'd have to say that Pokemon is just so good because it has solid core gameplay mechanics that are constantly innovating without sacrificing anything, intricate gameplay features, engaging story points, excellent risk-to-reward ratios, and immersive and stylish aesthetics. All of these things combined make Pokemon, and it has been quite a process getting the games to be where they stand today. However, a true test of a great game franchise is whether they stand the test of time and can be enjoyed years past their time. And Pokemon certainly has this replayability factor with each and every generation, which is probably why they're more expensive now than when they first came out. At the end of the day, this is all just my own thoughts on why I think this franchise is spectacular, and I'm honestly incredibly interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So please, if you could, take a second to give me your input. Did I miss something important? Am I overblowing certain aspects of these games? Or maybe you just wanted to let me know that you think Gen 1 is the best, and every other generation obviously sucks because Mewtwo cool and new legendaries all look like Digimon. Whatever you have to say, I'd be glad to hear it, as all input helps me and lets me know that I'm doing something, whether it's right or wrong. Oh, and as another reminder, I'm splitting this So Good series on Pokemon into a couple videos, because Pokemon really is such a vast franchise that I don't think it would be fair to try to cram everything into 2 videos. So stay tuned for those in the upcoming weeks. I post once a week, usually on Fridays or Saturdays, and if you want to know when my new videos are published more reliably, I'd suggest you like, then subscribe, and hit the notification icon. As always, this has been So Good content, and I am reminding you once again to keep on loving good stuff.